Are you ready for the rapture? How do you know? What do you need to do to make sure you're ready for that wonderful and glorious event? The go-to verse that rapture theologians use is 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verses 16 through 17. Because the Master himself shall come down with a shout, with the voice of a chief messenger, and with the trumpet of Elohim, and the dead in Messiah shall rise first. Then we, the living, who are left over, shall be caught away together with them in the clouds to meet the Master in the air, and so we shall be always with the Master. The word in Greek that is caught away is harpazo, and it means to snatch away. And in the Latin Vulgate, that word is rapimur, and that means to rapture. That's where we get rapture in English. Some things to note also about this verse. The dead rise first. Then we who are left will be caught away, and so we shall forever be with the Master. And this occurs with the sound of a trumpet. 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verses 51 and 52. Here, Paul is writing again about this time of the rapture, the trumpet sounding. And he says, "See, I shall speak a secret to you. We shall not all sleep, but we shall be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trumpet. For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed." This is happening at the last trumpet. This sounds like the same event that Paul was talking about in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4. It happens at the last trumpet, though. So when is the last trumpet? The book of Revelation mentions 7 trumpets. Here is what happens at the 7th, or the last trumpet. In the book of Revelation, in chapter 10 and verse 7, "But in the days of the 7th messenger, when he is about to sound, the secret of Elohim shall also be ended, as he declared to his servants the prophets." This is the 7th messenger, and that secret that Paul was talking about in 1 Corinthians chapter 15 is once again mentioned here. So we can see that the last trumpet of 1 Corinthians chapter 15 verses 51 through 52 is the same as this 7th trumpet in the book of Revelation chapter 10 and verse 7, when the secret of Elohim shall be ended. Revelation chapter 11 in verse 3, "And I shall give unto my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clad in sackcloth. These are the 2 olive trees and the 2 lampstands that are standing before the Elohim of the earth. And when they have ended their witness, the beast coming up out of the pit of the deep shall fight against them, and overcome them, and kill them. And their dead bodies lie in the street of that great city which is spiritually called Sodom and Mitzrayim, where also our Master was impaled. And some of the peoples and tribes and tongues and nations see their dead bodies for 3.5 days, and they do not allow their dead bodies to be placed into tombs. And those dwelling on the earth rejoice over them and exult. And they shall send gifts to each other, because these 2 prophets tortured those dwelling on the earth. And after 3.5 days, a spirit of life from Elohim entered into them, and they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon those who saw them. And they heard a loud voice from the heavens saying to them, Come up here. And they went up into the heaven in a cloud, and their enemies saw them. And in that hour there came to be a great earthquake, and the 7th messenger sounded. And there came to be loud voices in the heavens saying, The reign of this world has become the reign of our Master and his Messiah, and he shall reign forever and ever. At this 7th trumpet, we see the dead standing on their feet and then going up into the air. This is the 7th trumpet of Revelation. It's also when the secret of Elohim has ended. In 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verses 51 and 52, the Apostle Paul said, I speak a secret to you. At the last trumpet, we shall be changed. In 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verses 16 and 17, at the sound of a trumpet, the dead in Messiah will rise first. And then we who are alive and left over shall be caught away together with them in the air. This happens at the end of the two witnesses' testimony. This is the seventh trumpet of Revelation. This is the end of the tribulation. If you want to be part of that great taking away, that calling up into the air, then you must guard the commandments of Elohim and keep the testimony of Yeshua. The two witnesses die at the end of the 1,260 days. Then they are called up into the air, and then the seventh trumpet happens. The 1,260 days is also listed in the book of Revelation, chapter 12, verses 6 through 17. The woman fled into the wilderness, where she has a place prepared by Elohim to be nourished there 1,260 days. The same as the two witnesses. And there came to be fighting in the heaven. Michael and his messengers fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his messengers fought. But they were not strong enough, nor was a place found for them in the heaven any longer. And the great dragon was thrown out, that serpent of old, called the devil and Satan, who leads all the world astray. He was thrown down to the earth, and his messengers were thrown out with him. And I heard a loud voice saying in the heaven, "Now have come the deliverance and the power and the reign of our Elohim, and the authority of his Messiah. For the accuser of our brothers, who accused them before our Elohim day and night, has been thrown out. And they overcame him because of the blood of the Lamb, and because of the word of their witness, and they did not love their lives to death. Because of this rejoice, O heavens, and you who dwell in them. Woe to the earth and the sea, because the devil has come down to you, having great wrath, knowing that he has little time." And when the dragon saw that he had been thrown down to the earth, he persecuted the woman who gave birth to the male child. And the woman was given 2 wings of a great eagle, to fly into the wilderness to her place, where she is nourished for a time, times, and half a time, 1,260 days, as it were. She was nourished for a time and times and half a time from the presence of the serpent. And out of his mouth the serpent spewed water like a river after the woman, to cause her to be swept away by the river. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened its mouth and swallowed up the river which the dragon had spewed out of his mouth. And the dragon was enraged with the woman, and he went to fight with the remnant of her seed, those guarding the commands of Elohim and possessing the witness of Yeshua, Messiah. Now this case, we do see the woman being nourished for a time, times, and half a time. But the earth is what saves her. You see, she's not called up into the heavens. She's nourished for a time, times, and half a time. And so this is not the rapture, where the dead are raised first, and then those who are left over are changed in a moment and in the twinkling of an eye, which happens at the sounding of the last trump, which happens at the end of the two witnesses' time period of 1,260 days. And we see during this time that the dragon, who is enraged with the woman, persecutes her seed, the remnant, those who have the commandments of Elohim and the testimony of Yeshua the Messiah. In the book of Daniel, in chapter 7, verses 19 through 27, "Then I desired for certainty concerning the fourth beast, which was different from all the others, very fearsome, with its teeth of iron and its nails of bronze, which devoured, crushed, and trampled down the rest with its feet. And concerning the 10 horns that were on its head, and the other horn that came up, before which 3 fell. This horn which had eyes, and a mouth which spoke great words, whose appearance was greater than his fellows. I was looking, and this horn was fighting against the saints, and was prevailing against them, until the Ancient of Days came, and right ruling was given to the saints of the Most High. And the time came, and the saints took possession of the reign." This is what he said. "The fourth beast is the fourth reign on earth, which is different from all other kingdoms, and it devours all the earth, and tramples it down, and crushes it. And the 10 horns are 10 sovereigns from this reign, and they shall rise, and another shall rise after them, and it is different from the first ones, and it speaks words against the Most High, and it wears down the saints of the Most High, and they are given into its hand for a time, times, and half a time. But the judgments shall sit, and they shall take away its rule, to cut off and to destroy until the end. And the reign and the rulership and the greatness of the reigns under all the heavens shall be given to the people, the saints of the Most High, the set apart ones. And his reign is an everlasting reign, and all rulerships shall serve and obey him." So here we see the beast going after the saints of the Most High, the set apart ones, for that time, times, and half a time, just like in the book of Revelation. In Daniel chapter 12, verses 2 through 9, many of those who sleep in the dust of the earth shall wake up, some to everlasting life, and some to reproach. And those who have insight shall shine like the brightness of the expanse, and those who lead many to righteousness like the stars forever and ever. But you, Daniel, hide the words and seal the book until the time of the end. Many shall diligently search, and knowledge shall increase. How long until the end of these wonders? That it would be for an appointed time, times, and half a time. And when they have ended scattering the power of the set-apart people, then all of these shall be completed. And I heard but did not understand, for I said, My master, what is the latter end of these matters? And he said, Go, Daniel, for the words are hidden and sealed till the time of the end. These words are being unsealed because we are in the time of the end. If you're looking for that rapture, be sure that you are obeying the commandments of Elohim and you're keeping the testimony of Yeshua the Messiah. What the rapture really is the resurrection of the saints, which happens at the end of the tribulation. The rapture is the same thing as the resurrection of the saints, which happens at the end of the Great Tribulation, when those who are dead and asleep in the dust of the earth are called up out of their graves and called up into the heavens. The dead shall rise first. Then we who are left over, we will be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, and the reigns of the nations and the rulership over all the earth will be given to the saints of the Most High. The prophet Obadiah, chapter 1 and verse 15. The day of Yahweh is near upon all the nations. As you have done, so shall it be done back to you. Your reward shall come back on your own head. For as you have drunk on my set-apart mountain, so do all the nations drink continually. And they shall drink and shall swallow, and they shall be as though they had never been. But on Mount Zion there shall be an escape, and they shall be set apart, for Yahweh has spoken. And saviors shall come to Mount Zion to judge the mountains of Esau, and the reign shall belong to Yahweh. In verse 21, it says, and saviors, and in Hebrew, mashchim, Mashiach, plural, more than one Messiah. Saviors shall come to Mount Zion to judge the mountains of Esau, and the kingdom shall belong to Yahweh. This is the same occurrence that is happening in the book of Revelation, chapter 14 and verse 1. And I looked and saw a lamb standing on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having his father's name written upon their foreheads. In the book of Acts, chapter 1 and verse 10, as they were gazing into the heaven, the apostles, watching Yeshua go up in a cloud and hid from their sight, and they were gazing up into the heavens, and see two men stood by them dressed in white, who said, Men of Galilee, why do you stand looking into the heaven? This same Yeshua, who is taken up from you into the heaven, shall come in the same way as you saw him go into the heaven. At the end of the Great Tribulation, the beast, the serpent of old, the dragon, will persecute the saints of the Most High. 2 witnesses will be giving their testimony for 1,260 days. And at the end of their testimony, they will be overcome by the beast, and they will lie dead in the streets for 3.5 days. And after 3.5 days, their dead bodies will stand up, and they will be called up into the air. And the dead in Messiah will rise first at the 7th trumpet. Then those of us who are left will be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, and we will go up into the air and be with Messiah as well. But then Messiah and those resurrected saints will come down to Mount Zion, and they will establish the kingdom of Elohim, kingdom of heaven on the earth. Revelation chapter 20, starting in verse 1. I saw a messenger come down from the heaven, having the key to the pit of the deep and a great chain in his hand. And he seized the dragon, the serpent of old, who is the devil and Satan, and bound him for 1,000 years. And he threw him into the pit of the deep, and shut him up, and set a seal on him, so that he could lead the nations no more astray, until the 1,000 years were ended. And after that he has to be released for a little while. And I saw thrones, and they sat on them, and judgment was given to them. And the lives of those who had been beheaded because of their witness, because of the witness they bore to Yeshua, and because of the word of Elohim, who did not worship the beast, nor his image, and did not receive his mark upon their foreheads, or upon their hands. And they lived and reigned with Messiah for 1,000 years. And the rest of the dead did not come to life until the 1,000 years were ended. This is the first resurrection. Blessed and set apart is the one having part in the first resurrection. The second death possesses possesses no authority over these, but they shall be priests of Elohim and of Messiah, and shall reign with him 1,000 years. If you want to be a part of the rapture, if you want to be a part of the first resurrection, you must have the testimony of Yeshua and guard the commandments of Elohim. That is the truth about the rapture. Shalom.